Hi, my name is Dustin Miles. I'm with Momentum Multifamily. Super excited to have Chris Schwagerl here today. Hopefully, I got that right. Yeah, Chris, if you could kind of introduce yourself, and would just love to learn more, and so the audience can just get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah, thank you, Dustin. Super excited to be here and to help you out and all the listeners out there. And hey, way to nail it. Way to nail the training on the last name. You got it. And
Oh,
so
there
that
you
was
go.
really good. Yeah, so what I am is I am a performance psychologist for real estate investors. So what that means is I help people become a new version of themselves that allows them to make their success inevitable. So we
Hmm.
use custom psychological frameworks and everything's based in science to make sure that people can transform from the inside out.
Awesome. Sounds great. So, we were right before we started recording and all that. We were kind of, well, I guess I want to first start off like, how'd you get into this? So, like, did you wake up? You're like, hey, I'm gonna do this. So, I would love to get a little background on that.
Yeah, I just got the business cards and here we are, right?
Love it.
Well, it started back in middle school. I've always been interested in psychology, and in high school, always been interested in psychology. Took a bunch of courses. Long story short, got a couple degrees, got advanced degrees, worked in mental health for a long time. I've been working in the psychological fields for about 25 years now. And
Oh, wow.
one of the things, let me give you a peek behind the curtain here, Dustin. You don't get paid very much money. And so I had to figure out how to make some money. And so that's how I got into real estate investing 13 years ago.
Oh,
And so I
wow.
started to go to real estate conferences and talk to all the people who are raising a bunch of capital. And I realized I can help these guys. And so
Yeah.
I started to meet with people one on one, just pro bono work. And then finally, someone said, people would pay good money for this. You helped me out a lot. I was like, really? So then I started to think about this as a business venture in a way that I could put my stamp onto the world of real estate investing and specifically syndication. Because what I want to do is I want to help people raise more capital to help other families become more resilient with passive income. You see,
Hmm.
I'm a survivor of chronic kidney disease. And so in about a month, I should be coming up on my expiration date. But I've been in remission for about 3 years now. And one of
Wow.
the only things that helped my family at that time is we had passive income coming in from real estate investing. And if we
No kidding.
hadn't, I don't know if I'd be here right now. And so
Wow.
what I can do is help real estate investors, capital raisers, syndicators to build their inner confidence so they can go out there and make more families more resilient.
Wow. Okay. Gosh. Well, yeah, I'm glad you're doing well, and definitely I know for me personally, passive income's been really good. Sometimes it's not so passive, but but yeah, it's but that's powerful. That's a great story, and glad you're doing well, Chris. So what in general, so you work with people that raise capital. What is, kind of, are you typically working with people that are newer, people that are, kind of been doing for a little bit, people have been doing it for a long time? What sort of, do you have a sweet spot, or you kind of, are able to accommodate all kind of three sets, or what does that look like for you?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. As you know, it takes a certain different type of you, a certain version of you at the
Mm.
different areas. When you decide to get into real estate investing, that involves a different part of you than just being a W-2 employee.
Yeah.
And then when you say, "Hey, I'm gonna raise my hand and start raising capital and cross that line from my own personal balance sheet to somebody else's," that takes a different version. And
Hmm.
as you scale your business, it takes a different version of yourself. And then as you
Yep.
start to do the things that you're doing, where you're spreading the message about real estate investing, that takes a different version. And so I
Hmm.
work with people everywhere on that spectrum. I
Gotcha.
run a mastermind, I do groups, and I work one on one with people.
Oh,
And
wow.
the mastermind is specifically tailored for people who are pre syndication
Hmm.
onto about maybe 5 or 10 million assets under management. Groups are really good for everybody, but one on one, that sweet spot there is probably 20 million assets under management and above. The most I work with someone, they're trying to get to 1 billion this year. They're at 800 million assets under management. And so all of these sorts of belief systems that we have about ourselves and we tell ourselves that are true, that keep us moving but stuck at the
Mhm.
same time, they hit us in different ways in different areas. So I would
Mm.
say I work with people across the entire spectrum there.
Yeah, that's great. And I bet, for you, you learn probably, different things from each of the people that you work with that you can then apply to some of the other groups to help, help kind of speed them up too. So that's super cool. And so how long have you kind of been doing one-on-one coaching and group coaching and all that?
I've been doing one-on-one work for about 5 years, but I got to push you
Okay.
back on the word coaching, Dustin. I'm sorry,
Right.
respectfully. I know that this is your podcast,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I think when people hear coaching, when I hear coaching, I think it's either rah, 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 or
Mm,
I've done this. Here's my system. You go do your system. And
yeah.
none of those work because the big scam of personal development is that it delights your conscious mind and thinks you're moving forward without
Mm,
actually changing you. So it delights your subconscious mind too because you never change. You never take steps forward. I know that I've taken a ton of courses, gone to conferences, things like that, and then not acted on them. And I
right.
think that's a
Right.
lot
Right.
of people. So what I do is different. I do scientific, psychological frameworks that are built to have you change from the inside out. These are theories of human behavior that we've used for decades. A lot of my work is sports psychology based,
Hmm.
which became prevalent in the 80s and 90s with NBA players, NFL players, golfers, tennis players. It's moved into business a little bit, but not a lot.
Hmm.
So, that kind of mental and emotional training that you see elite athletes go through, that's the training that I do with real estate syndicators.
Gotcha. Okay. Super cool. Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I see your point too because you're like I'm bettering myself. I just paid for this conference, or I'm bettering myself. I just paid for XYZ, and it's like, well, but are you changing? Are you, is there anything that's actually moving forward besides the fact that you just paid for this item and you're attending this item? So
Exactly right. Because our
yeah,
conscious mind is like one of the most beautiful designs in the entire universe, right? It's billions and billions of neurons connecting. Think about this. We're on Zoom together because of some people's brains. I mean, that's pretty amazing,
yeah,
right? And so our conscious mind gets delights and dopamine hits when we think about moving ourselves forward and moving towards our goals. That's what it wants to do. But our
hmm,
subconscious mind is rooted in middle school. It's when we're 10, 11, 12 years old. Our subconscious mind says, it's not going to get any better than this. We're starting to get some real risk. You know what? Let's never change because my job is to keep us safe and
hmm,
avoid all risks. But in business and real estate investing, there's a lot of risks. You have to put yourself
yeah,
out there, you have to be vulnerable. And so if
hmm.
you're using an outdated mental system, it's going to be, you're going to experience a whole lot of friction trying to move forward.
Yep. 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 Yeah, there's nothing like for me, I remember when I got into real estate, yes, I the numbers are big, especially once you get into multifamily, the numbers are big and you're raising money and there's a lot of responsibility. I felt the weight of everyone's money on my
Mm.
shoulders. I specifically remember that, and just feeling how weighty that felt. And then I was pretty terrible as far as public speaking. And I had to do Toastmasters for, I remember, just kind of to something you had mentioned as far as, growing and all that. So I went to Toastmasters and then basically it was, I don't know if it's shock therapy or whatever, but I kept on anytime there was an opportunity to speak, I just did it, even though I probably wasn't that good. But I did it to where I used to get super, super nervous. I'd have to go to the bathroom right before I was going to go speak. And then and then speak or whatever. And then I don't know, anyways, super nervous. But it was just it's very interesting. Just I remember very well the first few times, I spoke in front of, 10 people, 50 people, 100 people. I think the biggest crowd's probably in that 5 to 700 range. And that, at least for me, because I was terrible at public speaking, I was a nervous wreck. It was, especially, I don't know, a few hundred people, but once you get into that 500 plus, I'm like, that's a lot of eyeballs looking at you. So, anyways, but yeah, just, I guess I can't remember the exact point you made a little while ago, but, wanted to bring that up. So,
Oh, that's fascinating. I'm glad you said
Yeah.
that. I'm curious here. Can I ask you a question,
Yeah,
Dustin?
sure. Yep.
Awesome. I ask questions for a living. Forgive me.
Yep.
So with Toastmasters, you were getting just you're basically saying, "Hey, I'm going to get my reps in, and I know
hmm
I'm going to be bad, but anything that's worth being great at is worth being terrible at to start." And so you just got your reps in.
Yep.
What did you do to do that? I mean, that's a big effort.
yeah, so I used to work at for a defense contractor, and they had a Toastmasters group, and so I would go. I think it was on Wednesdays. I would go every Wednesday, and a lot of times, people were supposed to speak but didn't show up or weren't prepared or whatever. And so I would always volunteer whether I was kind of prepared or not to speak. Just I was like, well, if not, and it was a small group. It was 10 people at most, but a lot of times it was like five, six, seven people. And so it was kind of that, if I bombed, which I did a handful of times there, I remember at the beginning, when I first started, I mean, I froze, and to where this one woman came up there and was like, it's okay, type of thing. Like whatever, you feel bad. But I froze for the first few, and then I, kind of, but yeah, I tried to get as many reps in as possible. And then, I won't say it became second nature, but wasn't too bad after a while.
Awesome. Good on you.
Yeah.
What a great
Yeah.
story that is. Just a lot of grit and commitment, a lot of mental toughness there. That's fantastic. And I have a lot of my clients who are trying to get into public speaking too, and then starting their own conferences and things like that.
Oh,
It's a
wow.
different level of vulnerability and feeling exposed. And what
hmm
people get wrong is their subconscious is saying, "Hey, this is different. So, hey, take a look around." And what we do is we internalize that as danger, but what
Yeah.
it really is something new. It's novelty. And
Yeah.
so we have a bunch of visualization and mental trainings that we do. Sometimes we even create characters in our brains. I've got clients who have Thumper and clients who have the Phoenix, different types of alter egos that they can engage when they're going to get on stage at certain times. We can trigger those. It's really fun. But I'm really
Yeah.
glad that you got through that because that's quite an achievement.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. Yeah, it took a while. So,
Awesome.
but yeah, it was interesting. So in terms of, I know you would kind of, I'd love to hear. I know it's confidential and all that, some of your clients, but would love to if you have just kind of any stats about your students or just kind of stories or case studies or anything you may want to share with people that you're working with.
Yeah, thank you, Dustin. I appreciate that you recognize that this work is confidential and very intimate, and so I
hmm
won't just I won't divulge any details here about who someone is, but I can
hmm
tell you that we have an 11.32x return on investment on
hmm
performance psychology, which is great because everything in business should be an investment, not an expense.
hmm
And we were talking earlier about how some people are viewing the current environment we're in as difficult to raise capital in. But I
hmm
shared with you last year in 2025, my clients 2.6x to their capital raising from the year before in what is air quotes here a down market. And
hmm
so you working on yourself will always pay dividends. And it's important to start doing this work now because if you've noticed, Dustin, that there's fewer syndicators in the market right now.
hmm
And that's going to change. As we know about cycles, they tend to
Yep.
change.
Yep.
In a few years, there'll be more people in here newbies that want to start raising capital and get really loud on social media. And the people who
Hmm.
are in there working on themselves right now are going to have a flag planted in the ground that nobody else can take from them. And it's really,
Yep.
really important right now. And so um, I started working with somebody last year. This was about 15 months ago. This
Mm.
person is a mobile home park investor. They had
Oh,
about $9
cool.
million dollars assets under management. We
Oh,
decided to
wow.
start working together one on one. So it was great. Some of the things that was stumbling blocks for him was raising capital. He didn't
Mm.
want to be salesy. He didn't want to stand out. And he had exhausted all of his friends and family. Does that sound
Mm.
familiar?
Yep.
I think a lot of people go through this. And so the
Yeah.
most he had ever raised from one person was $75,000.
Hmm.
And so what we found out was that he was a people pleaser. He didn't want to disappoint people. So one
Mm.
of his belief systems was if I ask people for capital, I have a chance of letting them down. And so he
Oh,
was secretly sabotaging himself
yeah. Wow.
and not knowing it. And we all have these belief systems in us that we think are true because they've been running in our subconscious for decades.
Mm.
We don't realize that they're just thoughts and we have the ability to take their power. So we devised an alter ego for him. And when he went to his next conference, he was just going to chill and get to know everybody. He wasn't going to put any pressure on anybody. He was just going to get to know people. And from that conference, he raised $800,000 that next week just from getting
Wow.
to know people because they wanted to meet him. He was naturally magnetic. He was himself, authentic, but amplified, louder. And so he started raising funds. Then, of course, what happened is he had more funds than deals. So he had to start building his team. Well, then this people pleasing and not wanting to disappoint people came up again. What if I
Mm.
hire people and they don't work out? What do I do? And so there's all sorts of different ways that this just one singular belief of many that we worked on was kind of holding him back and limiting him. And right now, I just talked to him today. He's about to hit $100 million assets under management about 15 months later. And see,
Wow.
he's done really well for himself in a space that's growing. Yes.
Yeah.
But he's done all of the internal work that he's needed to do to grow his business, to grow his story, and to grow his portfolio. And so he's doing really, really well and is a big proponent for performance psychology.
Wow. Wow. Almost 10x growth in terms of assets under management in a short amount of time.
Yeah, good on him.
Wow.
Good on him.
Yeah.
He did a
Yeah.
lot of work. I'm not trying to take the credit here. He did
Sure.
tons of tons and tons of work and
Yeah.
has worked on himself and put himself in a lot of challenging situations like you have. And
Mm.
so I love people who are action takers because working with me, you're going to get homework to make mistakes, to stand out, to do something different. And
Yeah.
so one of the mistakes he made was he gave his son a really bad haircut. I don't
Oh.
recommend doing that.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, I think there's a lot of people listening to this that can probably, myself included, that can relate to the people pleasing for
Mm.
sure. So that's interesting. Yeah, I guess it's interesting where your tendencies show up at. So,
Yeah, and we don't know. We found
mhm.
that this started with him when he was in high school.
Oh
He was
wow.
a nerdy kid. I think
Hmm.
I can say that out loud. Liked Legos, liked science, all that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
Wanted to be popular, wanted to impress the football players, but never really could. And what he found is if he helped them with their homework and did whatever they wanted, he got to sit with them at lunch.
Oh, gotcha. Wow.
And so we see the origin story of people pleasing.
Yeah.
And if that's not updated, it continues to business. And then it
Right.
continues to every, plateau and level of business that you do.
Wow. Yeah, it's powerful. That's awesome. Is in are your the people you work with kind of all over the US, or do you have people internationally as well, or what does that look like for you?
Yeah, all over the US. I mean, through the gift of Zoom here, we get to meet, via the internet, which is great. I do
Yeah.
have a client who lives in Belize and one in Switzerland. So we're going global here, Dustin.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. But all
Sounds
of my
sounds
people live on Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like you may need to go visit them at some point. So especially
Oh, that's a good idea.
yeah, yeah. The Switzerland one sounds pretty nice during the summer when at least I'm in Texas when it's really hot. I'm always looking to go to cooler temperatures. So that's great. Um, and I guess in terms of your business and maybe some of the people you work with and all that for this year, do you have any goals, or what does this kind of look like? Was business for you kind of look like for this year?
Yeah, good question. Happy to give you a peek behind the curtain. My goals this year is to 4x my business. And that sounds crazy, but I need to do this. In my mastermind, or in the mastermind that I run that I'm a part of, we
Hmm.
have a book club every month.
Oh,
And we
cool.
got into reading the Benjamin Hardy books at the end of last year. So we were reading Who Not How, 10x
Yep.
is easier than 2x. And then we read Science of Scaling. And it
Hmm.
was really eye-opening for me personally, because I'm usually the person who says, hey, here's some limiting beliefs. I don't have to point the finger back at me. But there was a lot of things that I was holding my own company back with. And
Hmm.
so I need to grow and reach out and build a team. So I've brought on a marketing company. I just hired a new executive assistant yesterday, and I've got a community
Oh, well.
manager that's going to be running our mastermind because I need to have more people doing the things that they can be really good at and empowering them to do that,
Mm-hmm.
and give myself space to stay in my lane and do what I'm really, really good at. So that's what I'm trying to do is basically tear everything down and rebuild it in a new way, if that's something. Because
Yeah.
what I love hearing that this is impacting people positively. I
Hmm.
love hearing stuff where, you know, people will do testimonials where they're teary-eyed and I've
Wow.
never loved myself this much. I've never felt this confident. I've never
Wow.
I'm a better dad. I get letters from spouses saying thank you. I get renewed marriages, things like that. It's really exciting what happens when
Wow.
you kind of stop coasting in life and you start to be more intentional with who you are and being authentic. I love that and it fills me up. And so I'm not here to make a ton more money. I just want to have a bigger reach and more impact. And so
Yeah.
that's why
Yeah.
I want to 4x my business this year.
That's awesome. That's great, man. Yeah, that's super cool. I didn't even, I feel like we've, in this conversation, we've been focused on, how can you make more money or, blah, blah, blah. So it's really, really cool, how that has, also, and it's not surprising, how you do anything is how you do everything. And so, if you're changing your, kind of mental makeup and all that in this area, it's not surprising it's going to bleed over to your family and all that. So that's super cool. I didn't think of that at all. So super cool. Is I guess just as far as people getting a hold of and I'm not sure if there's anything else you'd want to chat about, or if not, would love for ways that people can reach out and get a hold of you and all that.
Yeah, thank you, Dustin. My new website, done by not me, but my marketing team, chrisschwagerl.com. I hope you can put the spelling in the show notes here because I do have a silent R in my last name. So it's
Yep.
chrisschwagerl.com. We've got a resource center there. We've got videos and all that kind of stuff, the frameworks that people can start putting in place. Also, you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn most days. So find me on LinkedIn. I'm Chris Schwagerl, and I'm happy to connect with you. And we can have a conversation in the DMs about some stuff that could help you out.
Awesome. Well, sounds good. Please reach out to Chris. Super friendly guy. Just just wealth of knowledge, and I know it's cool. I don't remember if we took a picture or not, but I know we've met at least once in person, if not maybe twice. No, I think it has been more than once. So I
I think so too.
can't remember the conferences offhand, but
Yeah.
anyways. But great seeing you, and look forward to chat more. Please reach out to Chris, and yeah, we'll go from there. Appreciate your time, Chris. Thank you.
Dustin, it was my pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right, see ya. Take care.